Yes, Sophia, it is live on Facebook. We are streaming.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, here we go. Okay, Gracie, are we ready with the video?
Oh, I had my video playing since 7. Okay, everybody, here we go. Intro video. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We're going to play an intro video for CCSC. Sophia, is that the one?
Oh, absolutely. I thought we started the video already. I can't really see what's going on with the live at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to take my cue from you guys so I'm not reverbing. So we're going to start. Gracie, I don't know if you had the opportunity to run the video yet. If not, kind of cue me, and then we can roll into the first part of the program.
Okay, I am going to do our Forget Columbus Day video, which is going to be playing now. We ask everybody to please keep your Zoom on mute unless you are speaking. And if you have any questions, please include them in the chat. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Forget Columbus Day celebration. And here's a little backstory of why we're celebrating today's event.
Good evening. My name is Sophia Chu. I'm the Executive Director of the Caribbean Community Service Center that is headquartered here in the city of Detroit. We support, empower, and advocate for Caribbean nationals in the Americas. This evening, we're here at what used to be the Columbus statue for a poignant reason. We're celebrating our 3rd annual Forget Columbus Day event on October the 15th as a virtual event this year. And what better place for us to start marketing this but at this statue of what used to be Columbus. With me today, we have a couple of our organization members. Gracie Xavier, who is responsible for the Sports, Arts, and Culture Work Group. Alcina McMorris, who works with our educational development and also the founder of the Let's Be Friends program, which works with autistic children here in the city of Detroit. And we also have a newcomer, Kyle Constable, who is a recent resident from the great country of Jamaica. Thank you so much, and keep on looking forward to what we're working on. Our website is CaribbeanCommunitySC.org, our IG, Caribbean Community Service Center, and our Facebook page, Caribbean Community Service Center. Thanks again. I am Sophia Chu, and we look forward to continuing to servicing you.
Well. So now we're ready to roll. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Welcome to, let me do some housekeeping things first, just so we're not reverbing and talking over each other. Please put your call on mute. And if at all possible, show your beautiful faces so the world can see what we look like. We have the opportunity for us to communicate via the chat box. You can either send a notice privately to somebody you see on the screen, or you can send it to everybody. We have Robert Chinkowski, who will be manning the chat box for us to make sure that we respond to you in a timely and appropriate manner. Thanks again for coming and sharing this evening with us. This is our 3rd annual Forget Columbus Day event. And due to the interference of COVID-19, we had to be very creative in our presentation today. And in Jamaica, we would say, we turn we hand make fashion, meaning we use all the resources that we had to try to make this something new and innovative. So I'm hoping that you guys have a great time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Caribbean Community Service Center. We were created to provide a beneficial, welcoming, and inclusive environment to Caribbean nationals as they adapt to life in the United States. The sense of belonging is crucial to individuals and their families as they learn the nuances and become acclimated to the cultural, social, educational, and professional norms of the US. We continue to foster strategic alliances with like-minded organizations to meet and exceed our motto, which is SEA, like Caribbean Sea, support, empower, and advocate for Caribbean nationals in the Americas. It is our duty to provide them with the tools necessary to integrate without totally assimilating into the US society. This allows for a welcoming, culturally diverse, and inclusive environment. We started Forget Columbus Day about 3 years ago after we had a visit to Jamaica, and we stood by Discovery Bay was where we were, and we saw a statue of Columbus in Jamaica looking over this port saying that this was the entry that he made into this country. And with all the conversations that we're having in the US, we decided let's put a new spin on it. Let's own Columbus Day. Let's make it what we want it to be, which is to celebrate our collective community members who support, empower, and advocate for immigrants, and in our area, Caribbean immigrants that are here in the United States. So typically what we do is we have a fundraiser, and the funds that are collected are given to a particular project that we choose. This year, the project that we chose is the Black Immigrant Bail Fund. They are a national project of the Haitian Bridge Alliance and the African Bureau of Immigration and Social Affairs, with support of other Black-led organizations that provide free assistance and relief to Black immigrants in pursuit of liberation and justice. Our commitment is to eradicate mass incarceration of Black immigrants and level the playing field of equity in due process, transforming one life at a time. We're going to put the link for the donation in the chat box. So please, if you have anything that you would like to donate towards this fund, look in the chat box, use that link, and donate. So without further ado, we have a couple, it's really unique how we work this out. So we have a couple live pieces and we have some pre-recorded pieces. So the first recorded piece that we're going to show you is we're going to introduce you to the recipient of the first fundraiser that we did in 2018. It was the University of the West Indies nursing program. They actually came to the United States through, I think it was Henry Ford Health Services, that they did a transfer, like a nursing transfer with nurses from Jamaica. And they came in November or in October, and they were able to be a part of our first event. So it was extremely exciting to have them there. And we have fostered a relationship with them, and we continue to support them as much as we can. So we're gonna ask Gracie now to introduce us to Mrs. Sharian Gordon Singh. She's the representative from the University of the West Indies. Since this video is coming all the way back from Jamaica, it's kind of a little low because she was way up in the hills when she was videoing it. So we're gonna ask you, if you cannot hear the video, to turn your volume up so you can hear the beautiful Mrs. Sherian Singh Gordon's voice.
The sound's not on at all.
Of relationship in which we were able to lecture at the UWI School of Nursing, Western Jamaica campus. It is a pleasure to send you greetings. I had the privilege of meeting the CCSC when I was a part of the staff exchange rotation at the Henry Ford Health Services in Detroit, Michigan in 2018. My colleague and I were able to attend a fundraising event, and we had the pleasure of meeting you all in person. Coming from the fundraiser, we were able to maintain and keep a relationship in which we were able to get a donation from the CCSC that went towards our needy students fund at the UWI School of Nursing. And both campuses were able to benefit from their generous donations. So I just would like to take the opportunity to thank you. Thank you on behalf of the staff and students of the UWI Mona and WJC. All the best.
Okay, so we worked through the first hiccup. So you know there's going to be some others. So if you have your food, I know we can't share a meal right now, but you can have some food. I do have some Appleton Estate next to me. So make sure you relax, have a good time, and we will provide the entertainment for you. So next up, 2019, we have another event. This one we had at Cola, which is a West African nightclub in Farmington Hills. Cool setup, great company. We had a nice youth dance group that came and did some Caribbean dances for us. Fabulous time. The program that we chose that year, actually we chose two programs that year because, you know, we figured that we don't make enough money like that, right? So we chose two programs, one being taking funds and fostering a relationship with J-Flag in Jamaica. So J-Flag is a human rights and social justice organization which advocates for the rights, livelihood, and well-being of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in Jamaica. Their work seeks to create a Jamaican society that respects and protects the rights of everybody. It is a part of the Caribbean Forum of Lesbians, All Sexual, and Gays, which is called C-Flag. So I was able to go to Jamaica last year in November and meet them. And they're a great, fantastic group of people. And when you see the video that they did, you can see what great, fantastic, young-minded, forward-thinking people can do. So Gracie, I'm gonna cue you up now to play the next video from J-Flag. And the presenter for this one is Glenroy Murray.
Hello, I'm Glenroy, the of Strategy and Impact at Equality for All Foundation, otherwise known as JFLAG. We would like to thank the Caribbean Community Service Center for their support of our work in previous years. In terms of our priorities going forward, there are several areas we would like to expand our work in. Firstly, we've done a lot of work around improving health spaces so that there's greater accessibility for members of the LGBT community. Going forward, we would like to expand our reach within the health sector beyond our work around HIV and look at other areas such as mental health that many members of the community face but continue to be inadequately addressed. Some other areas we're interested in looking in is expanding the protection and promotion of the economic, social, and cultural rights for LGBT Jamaicans. That means we will take a closer look at issues such as homelessness, workplace discrimination, and the accessibility of social services for those members of the community who are particularly vulnerable. Outside of those areas, we will continue to do our work to increase visibility of LGBT Jamaicans, as well as create partnerships with policymakers, parliamentarians, and other key stakeholders such as academia and other civil society organizations, so that more players will be a part of the process of improving the lived realities of LGBT Jamaicans. Outside of those expanded areas of advocacy, JFLAG will continue to push for a law reform in relation to sexual offenses so that LGBT Jamaicans are equally protected in that regard. We will continue to agitate for the enactment of comprehensive anti-discrimination legislation so that the current gaps that exist for LGBT Jamaicans in different areas of their lives will be covered. And so with the added areas, we will look at holistically how LGBT Jamaicans are able to navigate spaces in Jamaica and able to live the fulfilling lives that they would like to live here. On reflection on the recent general election in Jamaica, while we watch closely at what happens in Parliament because of the key role parliamentarians play in moving the needle forward for us as a community, JFLAG as an institution does not necessarily think that the victory of the Jamaica Labour Party, or had the People's National Party, one, would have had any significant impact on the way we do our work. We're fortunate to have ongoing relationships with members of both parties who have supported our work in different ways, both directly and indirectly, openly and privately. And so we are looking at opportunities to engage parliamentarians on both sides of Parliament to see how we can strengthen the work for all Jamaicans. The reality is there are LGBT Jamaicans who are members and supporters of both major political parties in Jamaica. And as such, our work has to represent all LGBT Jamaicans, regardless of political affiliation. And so we see the new election as an opportunity to engage both sides in different ways. And we hope that the relationships we've cultivated with both parties will be mutually beneficial in the next term and the one after that. We at JFLAG would like to thank the Caribbean Community Service Center for their support of our work and to assure them that we hope for continued partnership in the future. We wish you a productive and successful 3rd annual Forget Columbus Day Awards fundraiser, and I hope that all your objectives are met and that your event is a blast. Have a great one.
Well, 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 see what I'm saying? So our future is in great hands, people. Don't you worry. They got this. If not, we'll make sure they have this. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to actually start the awards section of the program. I'm going to turn the mic over to Robert Chimkowski, who is one of our directors and the Community Service Program Manager. He's extremely proud of his Polish, Lithuanian heritage, and he is also the brains behind the brawn, I think, when it comes to making sure that this event, this virtual event, became not only on white paper, but it actually became an action that we're doing. So without further ado, Robert, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sophia. A union organizer, human rights activist, work policy expert, and green energy entrepreneur, Congressman Andy Levin has spent his career fighting for the equitable and inclusive future for all people. He's bringing that fight to Congress as the proud representative of Michigan's 9th District. Andy has been advocating for working families since the 1980s, when he organized hundreds of healthcare workers for the Service Employees International Union, SEIU. After working with Haitian immigrant workers, Andy co-founded an organization to assist immigrants with challenges posed by the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. From 1995 to 2006, Andy served as Assistant Director of Organizing at the National AFL-CIO, where he created and ran Union Summer, which helped many unions with collaborative organizing campaigns around the country. Andy took his advocacy work to the Michigan state government, where he created and ran the state's No Worker Left Behind initiative that helped more than 160,000 unemployed and underemployed Michiganders go back to school during the Great Recession. On a mission to unite sustainability and workforce development, Andy also helped create Michigan's Green Jobs Initiative in 2008 and the Green Jobs Report in 2009. I first met Representative Levin during this period while working in the city of Detroit's workforce system, and I learned to admire the congressman's commitment and dedication to providing job opportunities for unemployed and low-income individuals. In 2011, Andy founded Levin Energy Partners, LLC, as an entrepreneurial force to help shape Michigan and America's energy future. Andy created and ran a statewide market to finance clean energy building improvements called Lean and Green Michigan, which has become one of the most innovative PACE programs in the US. In 2018, Andy's program helped a wide variety of business owners initiate nearly $18 million in clean energy projects. Andy has worked on human rights for decades, including doing legal work for asylum seekers in the US and investing and reporting on human rights abuses in Haiti, China, and Tibet. Born in Detroit and raised in Berkeley, Michigan, Andy is an honors graduate of Williams College and Harvard Law School and holds a master's degree from the University of Michigan in Asian languages and cultures. Andy learned and worked in Haitian Creole and Tibetan and also studied French, Sanskrit, and Hindi. Andy has long been active in the spiritual and social justice life of the Jewish community. Until his election to Congress, he served as president of a Reconstructionist Jewish synagogue, Congregation Toshia, and as chair of the steering committee of Detroit Jews for Justice, an organization he helped create to fight for racial and economic justice in Detroit. He married his high school sweetheart, Mary Freeman, in 1991. They have 4 children, Kobe, Saul, Ben, and Molly, and live in Bloomfield Township. I am so grateful to him for taking time out to talk to us today. Congressman Levin, in deep recognition of your lifelong commitment to advocacy and your service to those who struggle to attain their human rights, please accept CCSC's 2020 Community Advocacy Award.
Wow. Well, Robert, thank you so much. And Sophia and all these beautiful faces. I have my little award right here. It's really incredible looking. It's very heavy. It's the real deal. So whoever did that, it's a beautiful award. I'm really honored, so honored to receive it and to be with you today. And Sophia, just to see some of these videos, our young people really are our future. And, you know, I think you back on Union Summer, that's what that was all about, putting 1,000 young people out on the front lines of union organizing and bargaining campaigns, and incredibly diverse young people which, as I think a lot of you know, is sometimes a little bit of a shock to the labor unions of this country. So that was exciting. Anyway, I'm really, really glad to be here. It's super special to me. And I just want to highlight the tireless advocacy of the Caribbean community itself. And it's especially an honor for me to celebrate and accept this award on Indigenous Peoples Day, or that, that week, and forget Columbus Day, as you say. And so I'm really grateful. I've had the pleasure of sitting on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and its subcommittee on the Western Hemisphere. And in that role, I've had the privilege to work extensively on issues around the Caribbean. During this term, I've questioned Trump administration officials about their policy decisions concerning Latin America and the Caribbean. I've encouraged a stronger focus on Haiti, for sure. I'll talk about that a little more in a minute. I fought for the U.S. to provide proper aid to the Northern Triangle and much more. And the work's really been a highlight of my first term in Congress, and I hope to continue it next year in the 117th Congress if the people of the 9th District are so good as to reelect me. As you know, this year, when the House considered the annual State Department funding bill, I authored language that highlights our concern around discrimination against LGBTI persons in Jamaica, and urged the Secretary of State to engage with the government of Jamaica to reform discriminatory laws and end discriminatory acts against Jamaicans who are LGBTI. As a longtime human rights defender, I was extremely pleased to see that language get bipartisan support, showing the State Department that this is indeed a priority for Democrats and Republicans alike. I'm so humbled that you all have recognized that effort. But as you know, it's not only urgent human rights issue facing our Caribbean neighbors. And so I want to turn to another topic I've worked on a lot this Congress, and at the same time tell you a little bit more about myself and a big reason I wanted to sit on the Western Hemisphere Subcommittee. And that topic, as Robert alluded to, is human rights in Haiti, a country I felt deeply connected to for more than 3 decades. I first traveled to Haiti as a college student, I think in 1980. I spent a month traveling around the country, and I ended up writing a paper that concluded that one of the primary effects of USAID in Haiti was propping up the Duvalier dictatorship. And since the USAID mission director had hosted me, I think he was a little surprised by my conclusion. And that's a whole long story, but it was really eye-opening. And then I learned to speak Haitian Creole while organizing Haitian nursing home workers in Boston. And so I went and served as an observer during Haiti's 1987 presidential elections, or attempt at presidential elections, a year after Jean-Claude Duvalier fled the country. When I was in law school, I spent the summer of 1992 in Haiti for Human Rights Watch and was the principal investigator and writer for that organization's book-length report, Silencing a People. And now here I am, a member of Congress. I can hardly believe it. And so I'm just determined to continuing defending Haitian human rights and ensure that US policy does the same. And believe me, we got a long way to go in that regard with this administration. As I mentioned, I made my second trip to Haiti as an investigator for Human Rights Watch in 1992, which was not long after Haitian soldiers led a coup against Haiti's first democratically elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, and not long before the military was implicated in the massacre of Aristide's supporters in the town of Raboteau. So imagine my horror when the Haitian government didn't just revive the armed forces, which I don't see a point for, but they empowered some of the same people who played a part in the horrors that led to the military's disbandment in the first place. In 2018, the year I was elected to Congress, the Haitian government put 6 former soldiers in charge of the Armed Forces High Command, and every single one of them had previously been sanctioned by the US for their despicable actions during the 1990s. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm of the belief that the United States has an obligation to make crystal clear where we stand. That if we stay silent when human rights are on the line, we risk allowing history to repeat itself. That's why, for my first 2 years in Congress, I've made sure that not $1 of US funds goes to the Forces Armées d'Haïti, the Haitian Armed Forces. And I'm pleased that funding prohibition was signed into law last year. And it's made it through the House again for the next defense funding bill. And I'm hopeful we'll see it across the finish line again. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about some of my more recent work around Haiti, and that's been on this administration's reprehensible decision to continue deportations to Haiti during the pandemic. And that's not the only country they've been deporting people to, as you know. The Trump administration's response to COVID-19 here in the US has been an absolute disgrace. But if that wasn't bad enough, they forced other countries, poor countries like Haiti, to reckon with their bad policies. Take these deportations. The State Department itself issued a do not travel advisory for Haiti on March 5th. That's the highest level travel advisory state can issue. And this was weeks before the department put out a global travel advisory because of COVID-19. So before the pandemic, they were saying nobody should travel to Haiti. This is what it says, among other things. Emergency response, including ambulance service, is limited or non-existent. To me, that says the department understood that Haiti's healthcare infrastructure was incredibly weak. Yet 1 month later, on April 7th, our country began to deport Haitians despite the pandemic and the knowledge that Haiti was not equipped to contain it. And the US continued these deportations even after a number of Haitians arrived in Haiti, were tested, and were positive for COVID-19. And, you know, I just talked to the Guatemalan ambassador to the US today, and we did the same thing with Guatemalans. So this administration knew that if deportations led to more cases, Haiti wouldn't be prepared, and they went through with them anyway. So I've urged the administration to stop these deportations. And in May, I partnered with Congresswoman Frederica Wilson of Florida and several other colleagues to introduce the Haitian Deportation Relief Act, a bill to defer the removal of Haitian nationals during the COVID-19 emergency. These deportations are as inhumane as they are self-defeating. We should know by now that the disease knows no borders. If COVID-19 takes hold in Haiti and the country isn't equipped to defeat it, our whole region will remain at risk, the whole Caribbean, Florida, and the rest of the United States. So I intend to keep fighting on that one. It would be impossible to talk about immigration and human rights without talking about recent reports of forced sterilizations within ICE facilities. Now, come on, if this was happening in another country, what would we say? We'd say it's a horrible human rights violation, and we'd be right. I immediately partnered with my colleagues to request that the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General open an investigation to thoroughly examine these reports. And by the way, I think one of the problems involved here is it's a private prison. I don't think there's any place for private prisons in this country, and I'm going to fight to end our use of them at the federal and the state level and for immigration and every other use. But this recent report was far from the first on inhumane conditions on our southern border or in our immigration detention facilities. One of the first high-profile no votes I ever took was in June 2019, and that was my vote against unconditionally funding Trump's immoral immigration policies. After the House passed an emergency border funding bill that had strong protections for babies, children, and families, the Senate refused even to discuss it. So the House took up the Senate version without those protections. Well, I voted against that bill because of my certainty that the administration would misuse that money. I feared they would exacerbate the crisis by treating immigrants as criminals, housing people in inhumane conditions, denying children and adults swift passage to relatives, and other measures that fly in the face of basic human decency. You know, Robert's right. One of the first things I did in law school was work on asylum claims for people trying to get in this country. I still remember their stories decades later. And it's just a shame that we're not helping them. After I took that vote, I visited DHS facilities in McAllen and Brownsville, Texas. And I crossed the border into Matamoros, Mexico to meet with people seeking asylum. And we fed them a dinner. And the things we saw down, I still have those pictures in my phone, y'all, of kids in cages in those facilities. It was just shocking. And so when I came home, I felt like Democrats in Congress needed to insist on immigration policies that uphold our values. And there's another area of that, which is really special to our area, which is about Iraqi nationals. Of all 435 congressional districts, I represent more Iraqi-born people than any other one. And so I've worked for my whole time in Congress to try to protect about 1,500 Iraqi nationals, including hundreds of Chaldean Christians, facing immediate risk of deportation, despite a several years-long legal battle. The threat to religious minorities in Iraq and to anyone who is Americanized, as almost all these folks are, is well documented. So I introduced bipartisan legislation, the Deferred Removal for Iraqi Nationals, including Minorities Act, to put off removing these Iraqi nationals for 2 years so they could seek reopening of their immigration proceedings. Donald Trump himself came to Warren, Michigan, in my district, and promised to help these people. He said, and I'm quoting him, "We're going to make sure that we do everything we can to keep people who've been good to this country out of harm's way. When I get back to Washington, we're going to give those who need it an extension to stay in our country." Well, guess what? He hasn't followed through on that. He didn't do anything about it. And I'm going to keep fighting for Haitians, for Iraqis, for Jamaicans, for all the people who make up the beautiful mosaic of this country, that everyone's rights are protected. Before I wrap up, I just want to mention one more immigration bill that was a huge priority in this Congress and that I need everybody to continue to fight for, and that's H.R. 6, the Dream and Promise Act. Dreamers, TPS, and DED recipients are valuable members of our communities. The president undermined the programs that protect them and eliminated any clarity about their futures. It's caused so much anxiety. And we have a moral and practical imperative to provide a legislative solution that treats the hundreds of thousands of affected people with fairness and humanity. That solution is the Dream and Promise Act, and I was proud to vote for it. I'll always work on behalf of my constituency to address human rights issues and bolster immigration policy so that we put an end to inhumane deportation procedures and create a more welcoming country. I vow to address the history of the United States that still impacts us all today, working to reverse the course that those like Christopher Columbus set us on and build a more just future that certainly includes a pathway to citizenship for all the hardworking immigrants in this country. I'm so grateful for you to honor me with this Community Advocacy Award. It's really one of the highlights of my first term in Congress, and I'm going to keep fighting shoulder to shoulder with all of you for justice. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your evening. Thanks, Sophia. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you so much, Congressman Levin. We appreciate all you do and happy that you were able to take the time out for us today. I'm hoping you'll be able to watch the excitement because we're having a party at the end.
I've got.
If you have your flags or whatever country you represent, make sure you have those, or some of our ladies have costumes, headpieces that you're gonna put on to perform to the still pan that's gonna close us out.
Thank you. Well, I just, Sophia, let me also introduce Justin Walters, our wonderful intern. And I thought I saw, where's Sean? Oh,
I'm here.
Sean.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Sean runs our district office here, and Sean Wolski is here. So the two of them have been terrific, and I wanted to introduce them. Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you so much again for your time. We appreciate you so much. So see, partnership and great alliances works out for everybody. So next up, I'm going to introduce the Sports, Arts, and Culture Devo. She's also the brain behind this operations when it comes to make sure the videos and stuff work. We ain't gonna tell them the headaches we went through to get it just right, Gracie. But I'm gonna turn it over to you now so you can introduce our next award for sports, arts, and culture.
Hi, thank you everybody for coming. And it is with great pleasure that we are giving this award for sports, arts, and culture to my friend, Maggie Cockery. Maggie is the president of the Haitian Network Group of Detroit, which has been in existence for more than over 20 something years. And the Haitian Network Group works to connect the community to Haitians living in the area, but also to promote Haitian arts and culture. Maggie, every 2 years, they host a wonderful arts festival in Farmington Hills. And also coming up in October 24th, we'll be hosting with CCSC a vote rally in which we galvanize Caribbeans, Haitians, and Africans to take it to the polls. So without further ado, Maggie couldn't be with us tonight, but we will play a video in regards to her accepting the award. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the president of the Haitian Network Group of Detroit, Maggie Corkery. I do it all, y'all.
Go.
I am delighted and honored to accept this award from CCSC. It's really impressive that I'm recognized by this organization who is dedicated to creating an inclusive space for Caribbean nationals. And in the short period of time that it's been around, it has raised a level of visibility in Metro Detroit, which is very impressive. So I am the current president of Haitian Network Group of Detroit. I am also one of the founders, and we've been in existence for about 20 years. Our mission is to promote Haitian culture in Metro Detroit, and we open not just only to Haitians, but anyone who's interested in the Haitian culture. So throughout our existence, we've had a number of events to share so that we could share our culture with the rest of Metro Detroit. So one of the things I'm the most proud of is our biannual Haitian Art Festival that's usually held in downtown Farmington. And it's just a celebration of Haitian culture, the beauty of it when it comes to food, art, and all kind of art, and also a way to get everybody together and celebrate Haiti. Because usually when you hear about Haiti, it's about the negative things that are happening over there. So we felt it was important for us to tell people that Haiti was not just about the negative things going on, but also about beautiful things that are happening over there. And the name of the festival, which means Bel Bagay Lakay, which means beautiful things from home, says it all. So besides this, so we are in the process of working on a rally that will be in support of Vote Early Day, National Vote Early Day, which is going to be on October 24. So we have a coalition of local organizations here, Haitian, Caribbean, and African also, that we will all be getting together, studying at the African American Museum. They were gracious enough to offer us space in front of their building. And we'll be just having a peaceful, nonpartisan rally just to encourage everyone, and particularly the residents of Midtown, to go and vote, because they have to know that their vote counts, and they should exercise their civic duty. So I'm hoping that this is just the beginning of things that we all the organizations in Detroit can do together, so that we can make our presence known here. The Haitians, the Jamaicans, Trinidadians, the whole Caribbean, and also the African communities too. So thank you again to CCCS for this beautiful award. I'm really, really pleased to receive it. And thank you to Sophia. Thank you all for making this a very memorable Forget Columbus Day. Thank you.
Take it away, Sophia.
I am taking it away, Gracie. I got this, boo. So now you guys ready to party? Nod your head. Next up is one of our local artists. Actually, at the beginning of the program, we had a song on our video. It was by Fuji Unlimited by Choka, which is a local artist of Caribbean descent. So you can follow him on social media to get access to his music. Again, it's Choka. He is of Caribbean descent, born and raised in Detroit. So we're gonna stay with that same theme. We're gonna introduce you to Shy. She was born and raised in Metro Detroit, and she is of Caribbean heritage. She started singing at the age of 8, has performed at various governmental and community events. She has currently 3 singles: Keep It Running, Feeling Fine, and Our Vibe. On April 1st, she released her first EP, To Be Shy. She will be performing tonight, Afro Puffs. It's one of my favorite songs. I want you to listen to the lyrics of this word, and especially brown skin sisters on the screen or live in Facebook world. Let me know what you think about the song in the comments. The official video for this song was released on October the 9th on Shy Vivo. That's SHIVEVO. So we're gonna ask Gracie to cue it up. Make sure you guys have your Appleton Estate, Anton, I see you, or whatever your drink of choice is as we rock to Afro Puffs by Shy.
Chocolate,
yes,
baby, self-conscious.
Oh yes.
They want you, babe, want you, babe, want you. I said up when my point is made. Aggressive when things don't go my way. Affection when I wanna say I do everything my way. Roots and scripture driven, who's a honey vision. Beauty no description, truth and secrets hidden. I want a million, heart like Brazilian, mind is so brilliant. Blinded by the bad in hand, bored by all the fake cliches, building by my money saved. I do everything my way.
Done it all the time. You okay?
Building no description, truth and secrets screaming. I
actually
want a million, heart like Brazilian, mind is so brilliant.
Hey. Yes.
Chocolate, melanin, baby, self-conscious. They want you, babe, want you, babe, want you. Why things gotta be like this? Sacrifice my happiness, slave deprived. Too many things I've missed. Refuse to live like this. Chocolate, melanin, Baby, self-conscious.
Oh, yeah.
Want
Yes.
you, babe. Want you, babe. Want you.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay, okay. Can I ask you
Yes.
guys to mute yourself, please? So we can actually hear what's going on from our video angle of it. I hope you guys enjoyed the performance. I'm looking for
Yes.
wonderful comments in there so I can tell Shy how great and fantastic she did, and that you guys are gonna go download, stream, I think that's what they call it now, stream her music. Okay, so we're gonna move on with the program. Next, I'm going to introduce Doreen. I always butcher her last name, but I'm gonna try it anyway, Doreen.
Don't do it.
She's my Surinamese sister. Eventually, I'm gonna get it right. Her name is Doreen Dunkler. Close enough. She is actually going to be handing out the Education Development Award today. Doreen is responsible for the Friends of CCSC program. If you're interested in becoming a friend of CCSC, please reach out to us via email and Doreen will respond to you. Our email is extremely simple. watchusgrowmi@gmail.com. watchusgrowmi@gmail.com. So I'm going to turn it over to you now, Doreen. You can correct me in public about butchering your name, but I know you love me anyway.
I do love you anyway, and I don't blame you. I've been in the US for 25 years and nobody's been able to ever pronounce it correctly. So don't feel bad. It is Doreen Dankerlui to be exact, but that's okay. I am super honored and excited to present an award specifically for service to the Caribbean community in the field of education, which happens to be my field as well, to Dr. Jorge Chinea. Dr. Chinea he's a professor and at Wayne State University, he's director of the Center for Latino, Latina, Latinx, and Latin American Studies. And he specializes in colonial Latin American history. He has researched themes of immigration, settlement, and colonial exploitation of specifically of the Hispanic Caribbean. And sometimes we forget about the Hispanic Caribbean, very important. His book on race and labor in the Hispanic Caribbean, the West Indian worker experience in Puerto Rico, between 1800 and 1850, received a recognition award, a Wayne State University Board of Governors Faculty Recognition Award in 2006. Dr. Chinea has earned his PhD in Latin American history from the University of Minnesota, also an MA in history and Chicano studies, minor from SUNY Binghamton, as well as his BA in Latin American and Caribbean area studies. As a scholar, as a beginning researcher in Afro-Latin American studies, I am very excited to offer this award to you. Dr. Chinea is also, very importantly, an old friend of the Caribbean Community Service Center, and he has presented most recently at our February event, our yearly Black History Month event, talking about a very important piece, which also doesn't come out often, specifically the role of Caribbean nationals in the civil rights movement. Dr. Chinea educates us about, educates not only the Caribbean community, but the wider community about the Caribbean, about Latin America, and we are so thankful for your contribution to the field. I believe I hear congratulations, and I am hoping that you have the award, Dr. Chinea. Felicidades. You're still on mute, I believe.
There it is.
Perfecto. I'm sorry, you're still on mute, Dr. Chinea.
It keeps going off. I'm not sure why it did that. Anyway, it came in around 3 p.m. And I'm very thankful and honored to be amongst this group of distinguished awardees. I'm happy to join you today. You know, I think I'd like to say a few things about Columbus, if you don't mind. You know, it's intriguing, the name that you have chosen for this annual event. We need to forget Columbus. We really do. You know, I tell my students that, you know, oftentimes when we talk about Columbus, people say, you know, he discovered America. He really discovered, maybe in his mind, the Caribbean for the Europeans who did not know. The Indians already knew, right? They already knew where they lived. They didn't need to be discovered. In fact, maybe the Indians discovered Columbus. Anyway, Columbus, I tell my students, despite what people say in the Eurocentric books of history, Columbus actually ended up going back to Spain in handcuffs because the Queen never authorized Columbus to unleash devastation on the Caribbean islands and the people of those islands. So when the Queen learned that he had exceeded the instructions that he had been given, they actually dispatched an agent of the government of Spain to find Columbus, put handcuffs on him, and take him back. And he barely missed spending some time in jail. But of course, you know, with the euphoria that we just discovered a new land and we got gold, we got all of these resources, they spared his life in jail. Then he was able to come back and do a couple of more trips, much to the detriment of the Caribbean, right? But I thank you for taking this position. I think that anytime the people from these beautiful islands take a position to deconstruct history, right? To tear it apart, to look at it for what it is, and to move the Caribbean from the margins to the center, we're gaining. We're gaining because it's important to do that, because the legacy of Columbus has done a lot of damage to the mindset of many peoples in the Caribbean, to the extent that we even deny, right? The extent to which we have some people in the Caribbean Indian heritage. And in some islands in the Caribbean, people even deny their Black heritage, but they have no problem acknowledging European heritage. So the Columbus legacy has left us with a major imprint that's not always positive. And so deconstructing it and moving behind it is a worthy cause. So I want to thank you for doing that. And I want to ask Sophia, so you were standing in front of what used to be the statue of Columbus?
Yes. We took our show on the road.
I love that. I love that. Here's the statue of Columbus. Hey, ain't nothing here.
Not there.
Nothing
But
to
we
see.
forgot him. Yeah.
Nothing to see. Beautiful. But I want to thank Sophia and Robert Chinkowski and everyone else in the leadership role at the Caribbean Community Services Center for doing the work you do of essentially foregrounding the Caribbean experience in Detroit. I think it's important to remember that Caribbean peoples came to Detroit very, very early on and participating in forging a Black identity in the city in the same way that they did in other parts of the Americas, including, of course, the Caribbean. When I had my first son back in 1986, he's now 33, I actually named him after Marcus Garvey, the great Jamaican leader. So that's the name of my son, Marcus. And I'm proud to say that because it was my sister's idea. She said, I went to Hunter College and I learned about Marcus Garvey, and you have a son, you have to name him after Marcus Garvey, who actually preceded MLK, right? Malcolm X, and a bunch of other people in advocating for Black civil rights at a time when this was unheard of back in the 1920s and 30s. But anyway, I'm happy to be here with you. I wish you a lot of success at the organization. I want to congratulate the other awardees. Continue to do great work. Continue to move the needle forward on civil rights and social justice. And with that, I close and I thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Chinea. It has really been an honor getting to know you over the years. So every time we can connect on any level, actually, you're such a great educator and open to ideas and willing to work with us, and that means the world to us. And thank you for taking care of our Caribbean students at Wayne State. The brown-skinned ones that don't fit under any other umbrella, they know they can come to you. I know. So we do appreciate that.
I want to just do a quick acknowledgement of people like Melissa Miranda Morse, in case you don't notice her there. She's the assistant director of the center. And Dr. Victor Figueroa, where is he? Is he still here?
I saw him, yeah.
Okay, he's still around and he's the acting director of the center. I'm on leave this particular year. I'm gonna use the time to do a little bit more writing. And so hopefully I'll have more stories to tell about how bad Columbus was.
Great. I used to teach at Wayne State years ago.
All right, excellent.
Yes, I'm Dr. Ray Johnson.
You come back.
There you go. I may have to do that.
We have all the statues that need to be removed.
One by one, one by one.
One by one.
Thank you again, Dr. Chinea.
Great.
Thank you, guys. So moving right along to the next awardee, I'm going to turn the mic over to Mr. Wayne Ramakan. He is responsible for educational development programs, and he is going to introduce the Professional Development Award. Okay.
All right, there we go. Trying to get my microphone unmuted there, Sophia. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. As my dear sister Sophia just mentioned, my name is Wayne Ramakan, and I am a member of the Board of Directors here at the Caribbean Community Service Center, affectionately referred to as a CCSC. I echo the sentiments of my teammates to, again, welcome everyone that is present and also to those that might be running late. Some of you might be longtime supporters of CCSC. I see some folks on here who have been supporting, and some of you, this might be the first time that you're attending one of our events. Thank you to all the longtime supporters. And, you know, so from the bottom of my heart, a great big thank you. And I know I speak for the entire CCSC family that we hope this will be a continued relationship. This evening, I have the distinct pleasure of presenting the award for professional development. And for me personally, it is a privilege and an honor because I've known this individual for approximately 3 years. And in this short time, I've gained great respect for him, both on a personal and a professional level. As a matter of fact, I consider him my dear friend and a brother from another mother. So it gives me great joy to tell you a little bit about him before presenting him to you. I am talking about none other than the illustrious Mr. Kendally Akinani. And Mr. Akinani is the president and CEO of the Global African Business Association, based in Romulus, Michigan, here in the Detroit metro area. The Global African Business Association aims to connect African-based businesses to help refurbish urban communities through global trade, investment, and education between sub-Saharan Africa and local urban communities within the United States. He has successfully led efforts to research and connect stakeholders in municipalities to do business with Africa. And in this effort, he has helped African business men and women to navigate the process to do business here in the United States. So in addition to his many achievements, Mr. Akinani is a former political consultant, a speech coach, and a motivational speaker who works in the area of relationship building and counseling. Mr. Akinani is also the former president of the Leanna Hicks of Inkster, Michigan Library Board, where he helped lead an effort to develop a new $1.8 million project to completion. He also served as the chair of the Inkster Downtown Development Authority. And not only did he revitalize the DDA with a new vision, he also led an effort to create new business incentives for Inkster business owners, as well as moving the first cultural arts development into the city. He later would attach this strategy as the chair of the Inkster Tax Increment Finance Authority Board. So ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, in deep appreciation for his outstanding leadership in the field of professional development, I ask you to put your hands together and welcome my friend and colleague, Mr. Kendally Akinani, as I present this prestigious award for professional development. Brother Kendally, the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you so much, Wayne, and thank you, CCSC, for this wonderful award. I'm going to show it. I'm going to showcase it right here. In front of me right here. This is a beautiful award. I just want to thank you guys so much. And Sophia, thank you so much for even thinking about me. You know, it's important. I just want to say a couple of things. It's very important in this day and age as we move into a new decade of development, of not just technological development, but also professional development, to help understand the importance of our respective communities, whether you're African-American, African, Caribbean, or otherwise within the diaspora. We have to learn to create our own ecosystem. And I think that I preach about that every day, whether it's on social media or me making videos, just trying to educate the public about why this is necessary. We're living in a very hostile time. You heard Congressman Levin earlier speak about the absurdities of the Trump administration as it pertains to immigration. You know, immigrants not only bring human capital to the United States, but they also bring economics, businesses, and most importantly, sustainability within our communities. So we work on these things in the Global African Business Association and through our partners. Of course, CCSC is one of those partners. Of course, they can always call me, email me, text me. Can you be part of something? I'm there. I really, really respect this organization, and I'm just thankful for this award. Thank you so much.
Well, I can delay. You didn't see it coming, huh? You know how our sisters are. We just sneak it up on you. It has been a pleasure knowing you and working with you, being in the trenches with you. And I know we got some good stuff coming up that we're not going to share with anybody right now till we work out all the kinks. But thanks again for being a part of our world. We truly appreciate you. So they didn't say we was going to save the best for last, but I'm going to say we're going to save the best for last because I'm going to talk about my sister. I'm going to talk about the lady that we chose to get the Community Service Award. It is in appreciation of your hard work and dedication in assisting immigrants and all who seek justice and inclusion. That's all she does. That's all she does. As the founder and CEO of the African Bureau of Immigration and Social Affairs, we call it Abisa. And when you see Abisa, when you see her face, you think her name is Abisa. She founded this organization in Detroit, Michigan, of course. She provides resources to a large Black immigrant community. In particular, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Ms. Sarr and Abisa created a fundraiser to provide relief for those not getting it from the government as far as stimulus and so on and so forth. And she raised over $50,000 to give out to the community. She was inspired to start Abisa after a friend was faced with immigration issues and deportation. After translating his documents and finding a lack of existing resources or services for non-English speaking Black immigrants, she created what was not existing. She also was inspired to create the Springboard to Excellence program for young Black girls, mentoring and focusing them to achieve their personal and career success. I'm not going to tell you much about Sadie because if I do, I may start crying. I'm in the trenches with this chick several times a day. I love being in the trenches with her. Sometimes I'm in the front and she pushing me. Sometimes I'm behind her and I'm pushing her. But as long as we get up every day, we will continue to work for our community. Sadie, my girl, take it away, baby.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So do not make me cry. Don't make me cry. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Sophia. And I want to say thank you to the all CCSC team, because this is not the first time. Because like my big sis say, we have been in the trenches for the longest, because they have been supporting me in anything. I say, hey, Sophia, I have all these women who don't know how to drive. It's costing too much for them when they work. Then they have to pay the same money and give it to the driver. So they go home. They barely did not spend no money on themselves. CCSC provided us for so much money for transportation last year. We were able to give out so many vouchers to African women braiders and other folks in the community who could not drive, because in Michigan, in Detroit, if you are undocumented, you can't drive. And folks still need to go to work. They still need to take their children to school. And when I called on Sophia, CCSC came around. And it has been that way since I met her. When I say, hey, we cannot get this done, she said, come to my office and we'll make it happen. All the time. There is not a time where I call on you, on Gracie, on Robert, on whoever it is that I need anything, and you guys are not here. This work would not be easy if we did not have partners like CCSC, partners like Untitled Black, partners like Baji, partners like my sister, Haitian Bridge Alliance, who is right now somewhere watching me. Yes, Gerlin is here. And with her, we got tired of begging. We got tired of begging because there is so many people of our brothers and sisters that are stuck at the border. Gerlin had been crossing every other week to see them folks until COVID hit. When Congressman Andy Levin talked about the plight of the Haitian, I know well what he's talking about, because I debriefed every call that Gerlin had for days, sometimes 3 hours a day, to try to get those planes not to go. We just start crying this week when yesterday, after 28 hours, we have been fighting. The Black community immigrant have been fighting, and our brothers and sisters was deported to Cameroon anyway. So I know well what Congressman Levin said, because we are in the trenches, and we are glad to have him to be in Congress and push for this fight for us. So I want to thank you guys, because this means a lot. This means a lot. This means a lot, because if we don't do it, like my brother Akindele said, nobody would do it. If we don't educate the community about why it is important that we do the work, nobody would do it. Representation matters. And being able to serve your community, being able to be a bridge for resources, being able to carry the voice and continue pushing for system to change, because we understand well that some of the system was not created with none of us here in mind. They didn't think we were gonna come in this shore. They didn't think we were gonna stay. They maybe didn't even think that our Black brothers and sisters was going to still be here. And they are still here thriving. So when we walk into this shore, we are walking in the feet of our siblings who was here before us and who continue to do the work. So thank you very much for this. Thank you for supporting us. You guys can donate to the Black Immigrant Bail Fund. And because of people like Sophia that carry our voice wherever they go, because folks like the Haitian Bridge Alliance and Untitled Black and Baji, we have been able, since June 10th, with the Black Immigrant Bail Fund project, to post bond for 47 of our siblings. And we just start counting. So thank you for all the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I am very grateful to be in these trenches with you guys. And I'm not gonna cry, so.
Bravo, Sadie, bravo.
Absolutely, absolutely. Don't forget that the link for the donation will be in the chat box. If you have any questions, you can also post those in the chat box and we will respond to those. So you see Gracie ready, right? Because we're about to close out and it's about to turn up in here. So I'm going to introduce to you another Detroiter of Caribbean descent. Got a theme? We are here to stay in Detroit. We participate in all stage and walks of life, and music is part of what we do. We're in Motown. So I'm going to introduce you to Aaron Brave Soul Parrott. He was born in Detroit, Michigan, and grew up a lover of the smooth Motown sounds of his hometown, as well as reggae, soca, and calypso from his family roots of Trinidad and Tobago, birthplace of the steel pan. At the age of 11, Aaron started playing steel pan. Now, 23 years later, he is still playing pan. He's teaching folks how to play pan, and every pan party there is, Aaron shows up. He plays at Thomas McGee's downtown. You can follow him on Facebook, Aaron Braceau Parrott. You can see all the everything that he does, and he also will perform for any events that you have. So I'm gonna turn it over to Gracie. Y'all have your flags, your headdresses. In Jamaica, sometimes we have the rags. We're about to turn up. Aaron's gonna do his rendition of the Mighty Shadows, Columbus Lied. Hit it, Gracie.
Okay. Yay. Yay. All right. Let the party begin. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Here we go. All right. Share. You know. All right. Here we go.
Columbus Lied.
Yeah, Columbus Lied.
Columbus Lied.
Oh.
So, unfortunately, we have come to the end of this wonderful programming, and I'm hoping you stay tuned to other things that we have coming up. So I want to thank the committee, Robert, Gracie, Doreen, Wayne, Rachel, Alcina, for all their hard work to prepare this presentation. When I tell you we went through some trying times, but we worked it out. I want to thank Benny White for the video and the photos that we did downtown, Ryan Montague for the flyer design and the marketing. I want to invite you folks to think about becoming friends of CCSC. If you're interested, you can send your email to watchusgrowmi@gmail.com. Doreen will get back in touch with you. I ask that you follow us on Facebook, IG, and Twitter at Caribbean Community Service Center. We have two critical events that are coming up that I want you guys to stay tuned into. The next event is Rally the Vote, a nonpartisan walk to encourage all to vote early, vote your interest, vote respect. This is on October the 24th, 2020, starting at 2 p.m. We're gathering at the Charles H. Wright Museum and walking to the Detroit Department of Elections on West Grand Boulevard. This event is a part of a 13-state movement led by Haitian American organizations to coordinate a comprehensive voter engagement strategy and to set the stage to further engage immigrant communities in future local, regional, and national electoral processes. I also ask that you tune in to the Center of African Advancements in America seminar on voting rights and the need to increase active participation in the electoral process. This is on October 25th via Zoom and Facebook Live from 5 to 7. I will be one of the panelists, so I'm hoping that I get to see you guys on the screen again. Until next time, stay safe, and in Jamaica we say, walk good.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I also want to thank you, Sophia, for putting this all together, being the host tonight, and keeping us all in line, and all the work that you do in the community.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't take compliments well, so we're gonna sign off now.
I second that motion.
No, you guys make it easy for me to do this work because I want to make sure that we all take care of each other.
Yes.
Show empathy towards each other because we cannot do this without each other. So let's not have divisive conversations. Let's have community collective conversations. Yeah. Thank you guys again tonight for all that you do, for participating. Please donate if you can, and the funds will be turned over to the Black Immigrant Bail Fund. Thank you guys again so much. I'm hoping you had a fabulous time. And when COVID-19 is under control, we will meet outside. Until then, wear your mask, social distancing, and take care of each other. Good night.
Good night,
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Columbus Live.